Story 1. The story of Suratha, Sumedas, and the Ascetic. It's about times long ago. Our country was ruled by King Suratha. He had all the virtues of a good king. His kingdom was doing very well. His people were happy. They were duty bound and devout. The king trusted them and they trusted him. They looked up to their king as he was always doing things for the well being of his nation. Other kings envied the splendor of state and goodness of people in Suratha's kingdom. They wanted to defeat him and take over his kingdom. They went to war with him. Suratha was a daring king and faced his enemies like a warrior. But the enemy kings were cunning and shrewd. They took the army chief of Suratha to their side. Now what? Suratha felt helpless. He was filled with a lot of thoughts that didn't sink. The loyals to the kingdom have joined with the enemies. This is my misfortune. The enemy kings know of everything to make me lose easily. What do I do next? Even if I strengthen my fort, the enemy kings still have access to my kingdom. Until things change, it's better I take my mind off the whole thing and think of a way to uplift myself. He then mounted a horse and rode away into a forest. There were fruit laden trees, creepers, and sparkling water bodies, and altogether a sight to behold. Cuckoos and parrots sang to add their own touch to the sounds of the woodland. Peacocks danced away a feast to the eyes. As he rode past these, Suratha reached an ashram in the clearing of the woods. The trees on one side and flowering shrubs on the other made the ashram look enchanting. Cereal crops like paddy swayed. Deer calves and tiger cubs played together. Suratha forgot all his woes. He got off his horse and walked to a lake and washed his face, hands, and feet. As he neared the ashram, he could hear the pleasant sounds of Veda mantras and inhale the pleasing smell of the homa. When he entered the ashram, he found an ascetic who glowed like Brahma. His name was Sumedas. Suratha stood with folded hands and head bowed in all humility. And then he prostrated head on in Sashtanga Namaskara. The students reciting Veda looked at the king whom they had never seen before and stayed mute for an instant. Sumedas blessed the king, saying, "May good things come your way." Then the ascetic seated the king and asked about his well being. The king narrated his entire story and was saddened by the loss of his past glory. The ascetic pacified him, saying, "It's not right to dwell on the past and lament on it. Stay with us here. In a short while, you will feel good about everything." The king served the ascetic and stayed at the ashram, but he couldn't let go of the thoughts of his wife, children, friends, and the wealth of his kingdom. Once Suratha was roaming in the forest away from the ashram and with no thoughts in his mind, he met a stranger there. He looked troubled in his thoughts. As Suratha and the stranger appeared to be sailing in the same boat, they wanted to know each other and got to the shade of a tree. Looking at the man with a downcast face, Suratha spoke first. Who are you? Why have you come? What is the reason for your agony? If you speak about it, it may help you deal with it better. If you let me know your troubles, I will do what I can to solve those. With a heavy sigh, the stranger said, O king, I belong to a clan of merchants. My name is Samadhi. I was well known and made a lot of money. I had everything that we see as wealth and success. But some misfortune stuck, and my wife and children began to despise me. I lost my zest towards my trade. I tried driving sense into my wife and children in vain. I then left it all and walked into this forest. Here, when I was pitying myself, I found you. You look like an accomplished and fortunate man. Who are you? Why are you here? Suratha told him about all that he had been through. Both the merchant and the king wanted a solution for their anguish and went to Sumedas. They offered Sashtanga Namaskara. Suratha presented Samadhi to Sumedas and his ashram and said that the merchant and himself were going through similar turmoil. O ascetic, this merchant is thinking about his wife and children who have no feelings for him. He still loves them unduly and feels at unrest. On the other hand, I cannot stop thinking about my family, friends, and well wishers who are under the thumb of the enemy kings. I feel pained to imagine the plight of the wealth of my kingdom. We do not know how to get away from being bound to the material world. You have to show the way and liberate us. Hearing the plea from the king, Sumedas began his talk with the king and the merchant, and that was the ultimate wisdom. O king and the merchant, calm down and be at ease when you listen to what I have to say. We are in a whirlpool of attachment and illusion. The trio, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma, the Devatas, the sun and the moon, are all bound to it. That is the influence of Mahadevi. She makes existence of the world possible. She creates things that move and things that are still and rules them. Sages that have given up everything material too get caught in the trap of illusion and forget what they were really meaning to do. Grihastha or householders falling into it is no big deal, isn't it? The king and the merchant were spellbound and speechless. Then the king, with folded hands, asked, O ascetic, please tell us all that you can about the all powerful Mahadevi. You are all knowing, so please narrate the story of Mahadevi and bless us. The ascetic Sumedas dwelled on the Devi in his mind and said, Om Namah Chandikaye, and began his narration.